Hey there, Oz.
Hey there, Curtis.
Hey, what movie we watching this week?
This week we are watching a movie marriage of showgirls meets sidekicks
Okay.
with a lot of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This week we're talking about Flashdance. Oh,
Better fire up the S1, Dottie.
that's right. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme. New month, new theme.
Yes,
Well,
new theme.
New month.
Well,
recycled theme.
yes, regurgitated
Yeah,
theme.
it is February, and as we do here in Let's Talk About Flicks Land, February is Wives' Choice Month, where we take the guaranteed 4-week month of February.
Yep.
And that shortest month of the year.
Yep.
We let our wives choose.
Yep. My wife, this really doubles as her Valentine's Day gift.
Same.
Is letting her pick 2 movies this month.
Well, and for me, I've told my wife that you get 2 picks, so that's 2 Valentine's Days.
So it covers the next 2 years.
Yeah. It compounds for her. Yeah. So choose wisely. So she picked Flashdance, a movie that I had not seen before.
Same.
Which, like I mentioned last week, she was kind of shocked. Like, you'd never see Flashdance? And I'm like I told her, you should be proud of me. Like, this movie has a lot of what a guy should want to watch. Mm-hmm. And I didn't watch it, so I'm a great guy.
By the transitive property.
I'm nothing like pretty much every other man in this movie.
Yeah. I got a feeling that's going to be one of the recurring themes of this episode is men in this movie are terrible.
They are
terrible.
Yeah. I mean, there's really one exception. Richie. Was it? But even that, no. Don't get me wrong. Like
he wasn't like abusing women.
Yes. He wasn't necessarily going in the direction of all the other men in the movie. However, he more compensated that with racist jokes.
Still not a great guy.
No. But in terms of how he treats women,
sure,
better than most.
Yes, he's at the top of the list there.
I guess.
Very low bar.
Yeah. So. Flashdance. Again, my movie marriage, Showgirls, I think is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I didn't realize till later that both Flashdance and Showgirls were written by Joe Westerhouse.
Joe Westerhouse, yes.
So, sidekicks, because this is a movie that is definitely hurt by the advances in resolution technology.
Okay.
I watched the trailer for this movie afterwards. Of course, the movie we watched is in high def, and when this movie came out in like 83, it was in high def. It was much easier to hide Jennifer Beals' body double in 1983 than it is here. So my sidekicks inclusion was Jonathan Brandis was not the ninja in that movie. Like,
he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, no.
And so like anytime Jonathan Brandis would do any like martial arts at all, it's like his character always had like a mask on.
And a brown paper bag over his head.
It was a big mask, so pretty much. So that was my sidekicks reference, was just because it was very obvious that it was not Jennifer Beals for most of this movie.
Well, there was the one sequence in which like she had like the huge shoulder pad dance, and it ended with strobe lights, and they just literally like covered her face in like kabuki makeup.
And with a lot of close-up shots, and you're like, that's not Jennifer Beals.
That's not Jennifer Beals.
Even
good dancer, good performer, just that's not Jennifer Beals.
And there were a lot, my wife and I were talking about watching this, of like, there's a lot of times where Beals was not like on screen, and it was doing what appeared to be fairly uncomplicated things. Like, you could have probably done that, but you know what? We've already got your body double. Turns out she had 3 body doubles in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, she had a main body double, and then
which parts of the body? She had a legs double,
Frankenstein,
torso double, shoulders double.
She had a main body double, and then the end dance scene where she does like the giant like jump. That was like a like legit ballerina or figure skater or something like that. And then she had another body double for the breakdance portion of that final scene. I think it was a guy that just like put on his leotard and wig. And
was it one of the actors from Breakin'?
It wouldn't surprise me. Crazy Legs was the name of the dancer. But yeah, so a lot of body double dancing in this one. So kudos to Jennifer Beals for getting top credit when she was probably in like half the movie.
She's in there like a third of the time.
Yeah. And in typical Hollywood fashion, they purposely did not credit the body double, nor did they let her be mentioned at all, because they didn't want to break the illusion that Jennifer Beals was this talented.
It's like WWF kayfabe, it's like we've talked about before. When the $1 Million Man's on the road, he's in a limo.
Yeah, it's like you will
maintain the illusion.
You will have a roll of hundreds with you, Ted, and Virgil will be with you as your manservant anytime you're in public.
They transported the Undertaker by hearse.
Yeah, everywhere he went. So that's that, and then of course Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because she spends all of her transportation time on a bike.
Yep.
So
it would have been great if it was that bike.
I would have really enjoyed that as well. Yeah. So not that I needed to explain the movie Marriage, but I could see where Sidekicks would probably be a little like, not only have I not heard of that movie, but what does that have to do with this?
No, well said. I get it.
Before we get rolling though, before you get to the cast, the amazing non-misogynistic cast of characters in this film. I do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers: Don S, Aaron A, Mandy K, Melissa L, Collie K, Lyle M. Thank you guys for your patronage. And there is a link down below if anybody would like to join the Patreon. So,
yes, if anyone wants to share their February with us.
Yeah.
We would love to see your patronage.
Exactly. So who is in this like out of nowhere box office smash?
Yeah. This movie did make a pretty good profit there. I'll start with some of the behind the scenes. I at the risk of stealing one of your goods later, although you could certainly use it.
I'm going
Giorgio Moroder is soundtrack credited with the soundtrack. And just a lot of big names involved behind the scenes here. As you mentioned before, co-written by Joe Esterhaus, who went on to do Basic Instinct, as you mentioned before, Showgirls. Produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer.
I know, that surprised me when I saw Simpson and Bruckheimer. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And directed by Adrian Lin. So there's a lot of names associated with this movie. Yeah. So as far as who's in front of the camera, we have Jennifer Beals, who we've mentioned a lot, as Alex Owens, local Pittsburghian. She's a welder. She's a dancer. She does it all. She's a Jill of all trades.
She's a hometown girl on a Saturday night.
We have Michael Nouri as Nick Hurley, her boss, and
or as I referred to him, not Chris Sarandon.
Yes, that was amazing, by the way. He totally gives off Chris Sarandon.
The entire time I watched this movie, like I knew it wasn't him, but
it should have been.
But like I had mentioned to my wife, I'm like, oh, it was Chris Sarandon, and then I had to explain who that was, and then I was going through filmography of finding like, Jerry Dandridge, like Prince Humperdinck,
Prince Humperdinck.
But it's like, this guy, big time Chris Sarandon vibes.
The name of the welding, the steel mill there was actually Humperdinck Mill.
It was right there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, downtown Pittsburgh. Yeah. They should have Amanda Burse as Alex.
That'd have been all right too.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Lilia Scala as Blink and You Miss It Hannah character, who I'm sure is going to come up in some circumstances as well. We got Sonny Johnson as best friend Jeannie. Sonny Johnson, I was reading, she died a year after this movie came out.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know how or why, but tragic. Ooh. We have Kyle, as Wikipedia credits him, Kyle T. Hefner. He's probably Kyle the Hefner. He's probably related to Craig T. Nelson.
Probably, yeah. Because Craig T. and Hughes Lovechild.
Yeah. As Richie Blazek, burger maker / stand-up comedian.
He's probably better at burger making.
Yes. Stick to your strong suit there. We got Clue Zone Lee Ving as Johnny C.
Yeah. Who's basically just playing Mr. Body.
Basically Mr. Body. I'm just looking. That's really... I think we're good there. I don't think we need to mention anybody else.
I think... Well, probably Cynthia Rhodes as Tina Tech.
Cynthia Tina Tech.
She was from Dirty Dancing. That's the only reason.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Only reason worth mentioning, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Jumbo Red as Grunt the dog.
Grunt, yes. Jumbo Red.
Jumbo Red.
That's I think that was the working name for like a hot dog brand.
I think so, yeah.
Jumbo Red.
Jumbo Reds.
Yeah, pick up your pack of foot-long Jumbo Reds.
Right. Bun length and.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, the plot of this movie is circumstantial.
It's a very simple plot.
Very simple.
It's more of kind of a day, even though it's more than a day, it really is like a day in the life kind of story. Yeah,
it's a lot of relationship introspective, but not too deep of an introspective on those relationships. It's basically, this movie is, how well does Alex get through life?
Mm-hmm. And her ambitions and things like that.
I didn't count, but I am pretty sure Alex Owens was in every scene in this film. I mean, it just there wasn't which, for a movie set in Pittsburgh, which is arguably a major city, a large metropolitan area, this definitely felt more like a Burrow type film, to where every character we come across is a spoke on Alex's wheel. And yet all of these spokes also know each other. It just seems like a very small, and pardon the joke, but it seems like a very small town film shot in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it felt odd that everybody kept crossing paths.
Yeah.
In a major city.
It's
kind of like Whiplash, where it's like, oh, you're just going through a walk through New York and you just happen to find him playing at this bar. It just seemed, like I said, it's kind of circumstantial of oh, of course everybody's going to run together.
But it even kind of came a little bit with Falling Down.
Yeah.
Last week's movie. And
you're in L.A.
Yeah.
And
but it's in the same three blocks.
Everybody's butting heads with everybody else. So our movie kicks off. Honestly, you were correct. Spoiler alert for the goods. Georgia Mordor does show up in my goods because I'm a fan. Yeah. Great soundtrack. I mean,
I would say so, given the context,
exactly,
and the timing, and
right.
I wouldn't say they're all great songs.
No, but in terms
what they're trying to do,
in terms of hits, there were a lot of songs from this soundtrack that went on to be very successful songs. Ones that you've more than likely heard before if you've listened to 80s music, and the arrival of, because again, I honestly, I went into this movie, I knew nothing about this movie outside of some of the songs and the splash as she's on the chair thing,
which happened really early.
Exactly.
I was like, man, for as much, because that's the moment from this movie that people remember. Thing. And it was 4 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even during a big climactic moment. No, it was as you're getting to know the characters and the landscape.
that's the cultural thing from this movie. And when it happened, I even looked at my wife and I go, "What?" It's like,
that's it.
Pardon the comparison, but it felt like when Janet Leigh was killed in Psycho. I have no idea where this movie's going now. Because I don't know anything about this movie except that chair splash thing, and that happened 5 minutes in.
I assumed everything was building.
I did too. Moment. I'm like, I don't know where it's going. So I was along for the ride based on that fact alone. Of there's an hour and 27 minutes left in this film, and I don't know what it's going to be about.
I think the production team also called it the chair splash thing.
I think so. And
we only got one shot at this, boys.
Scene 2.
You get that chair splash thing right.
So our film opens with Alex riding her bike through Pittsburgh.
Which, it's 15 minutes here and there.
Yeah.
From one end of the town to the other.
Alex has, she has her own apartment. We'll get to that shortly. Alex
boy, does she.
Yes, she does. She is quite the real estate investor. She's so Alex apparently lives in Nebraska, but works in Pittsburgh because she's riding her bike. Like, she has to get up 7 hours early to get to work on time because she apparently, on her way to work, must travel down every street in Pittsburgh.
Every one. She crisscrosses all of them.
Yep. She hits every bridge over the Allegheny. Like, she has to. That's her route to work.
Yep, she rode the bases at Three River Stadium.
Yeah, I saw her riding her bike around the infield. And so, but we get Irene Cara, right away. Like, again, the big song from this movie, and it's playing over the opening credits. So even then, it just felt like all of these things that felt like were going to be big payoffs are being delivered like right away. Mm-hmm. And so, she's on her way. It just really settles in onto how blue collar Pittsburgh is. Yeah. Like, there's no major. It's all industry and factories.
It's kind of stereotypical Pittsburgh. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I've heard great things about it. I've heard wonderful things about the city of Pittsburgh. How it has a lot of similar touchstones as Chicago, culturally, geographically, even like ethnically. It's a very similar town, just slightly smaller scale.
Right. So Alex is at work and. We don't know who she is. We see her riding her bike, and then she gets to work, and we keep coming back to a person welding with a welding mask on that says Alex on it. So that's the introduction to our character, because we don't see her face, but we just saw her ride to work for 5 minutes, so we know it's her, even though they don't say it's her. And she's just working at a steel mill, just welding away.
That's all she's doing,
She just walks around and finds metals and makes them attached. Like, that's what she does.
She just, the next 2 pieces of metal I find, they're getting welded together.
Yeah, that guy's belt buckle and my keys are getting welded together. And so, she's just welding. And then, like, like I mentioned earlier, this movie is so 80s. Like, even in its minor tropes of, we're going to keep the camera focused on her while she's welding. Then she lifts her mask and, there she is. It's like, it's so...
Yeah, and there's beautiful Jennifer Beals underneath the
exactly.
welding mask.
It's so...
Looking picture perfect.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, she's clean. Very clean for someone who works in a gritty factory where she's welding. Everybody seems to enjoy her. Like, she... Despite being an 18-year-old hottie, for lack of better terminology,
there's no catcalling.
Exactly,
in the movie.
That's the word I was going to take. She's never getting catcalled at work. Like, she's got some camaraderie.
Go Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I mean, they're treating her the way that you would hope someone would get treated.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I feel totally safe going to work here.
Yes, because she's an employee in the workplace. Yeah. She's not young hot female in the workplace.
Right. Like, let's hire her so we can oogle her. It's like, no, let's hire her and then oogle her. As we meet Nick.
Transition.
Nick. Nick notices her at work, just kind of, does a couple double takes, doesn't say anything, doesn't approach her. Exactly. Yeah, he gives the old Tex Avery.
And holds up a yikes sign.
Exactly. So that's Alex at work. Mm-hmm. Alex After Dark, though, has a second After Dark has another job. We cut to Mobby's, which is apparently just gives the vibe of just a little dive bar kind of atmosphere. It is the most hopping establishment in Pittsburgh.
Huge stage, runway. Yeah.
Yes. And so we get Alex backstage. She's with a bunch of other dancers. Mm-hmm. Now, they're all applying makeup. Not Alex. She's still got the soot from, I don't think they well, maybe they do, but it's not real heavy-handed of like, here's all these other beautiful dancing women that are like working hard to get themselves all made up for their song or their whatever. And then there's Alex just sitting back there, like dropping wisdom on everybody's personal life.
Little known fact, welding masks are actually great for exfixolating.
They are. They do. They really clean those pores.
It holds the skin in just the perfect atmosphere and temperature and moisture.
A lot of people don't realize that Biore is a big manufacturer of welding masks.
Welding masks, yeah. So find it at your local Carson Perry Scott.
There you go. Yeah. So she's a dancer, right? And she has this. And again, we talked about it already. The big cultural thing from this movie was Jennifer Beals pulling a lever and just getting like carried with water, like.
Carried.
Oh, well, really, it is.
I mean, you're not wrong.
She just gets dumped on, as the finale to her song. Well, no, it's not even the finale to her song. No, it's just, right in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
And this is again, 4 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Where she's doing this little song. And kudos to this bar, because this is not a strip club.
No.
This is somehow has the clientele of a strip club, but also serves burgers.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it's all choreographed. I won't call it exotic dancing, but more interpretive type.
It's a performance.
Yeah, performance is a good word.
But as opposed to I don't know, it is meant to be entertainment.
Yeah,
but there's an art aspect to it.
Exactly.
Also. It's you go there to appreciate it.
Yeah,
as opposed and cheer on the dancers as opposed to just
sexualize them,
perv over them.
Right, because really there weren't many of these dances that I would consider sexy dances. They were, well, a lot of them I wouldn't even consider dances. They were just gyrating and running and sliding into the wall, and it's but anyway, so Alex does her bit and pulls that lever and douses herself in water. Somehow she's still not rocking a legit wet t-shirt. It's not
her hair is super wet.
I come back to that later. Yeah. But it's she just dumped all this water in front of her, but yet it's not like she's showing the goods through the shirt. So again, kind of a cool approach of all right, she does her day job and she's not oogled by all these guys who are old enough to be her dad. But at the same time, she goes and does her dance thing at night and she's not really oogled over there either. Nick happens to be in attendance. And because everybody after work just goes to Mobby's.
They just go to Mobby's. That's what you do when you're done working in Pittsburgh. Go to Mobby's.
I'm curious about Nick's leadership skills. As I understand, you being the owner, kind of the owner / manager of this, this mill, you might not know everybody that works for you, but he has no clue that this girl works for him. And then he notices her at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes to the bar and he's sitting there with honestly, this guy really bothered me as he's watching her dance and he's like, who's that? This guy then repeats her entire social security number to Nick, and Nick looks at her and he goes, she's one of your employees, and I'm like, why does this guy have everybody's social number? Yeah,
he's HR is what he is.
I get, but how do you have everybody's social number memorized?
He's HR at the steel mill. Nick just hangs out with the HR guy.
He does, and we never see the guy again. But he was the bridge into she works for you. So yeah, she does her dance. He's a dream. It's again a lot of athleticism, a lot of. You think she's wearing Soul Glow?
Well, I mean, after the dance is done, because her hair, because based on what happened after the water dump, I'm pretty sure her hair absorbed all of the water,
all of it. She's got a very spongy set of hair.
I think it was Eric LaSalle was actually one of those three stunt doubles, but he was in character from Coming to America.
Yeah, it was. Her hair was wet.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It was like a freshly clean dog just shaking itself out.
Exactly. I was waiting for her to go to the front of the catwalk and do the head shake thing and just drench Gallagher style everybody in the front row.
They all have tarps with
them. They pull them up so they don't get soaked. They know Alex's dance.
They do every night. Alex is there.
Everybody show up in galoshes and slickers.
First 4 rows in a splash zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming into the stage, Shamu Alex. It is. They prepare yourself.
They're holding dead trout.
It's so. Splash zone there at Malby's. We meet other people at Malby's too. We meet her best friend Jeannie, who's a waitress. She's not a dancer. Mm-hmm. She wants to be a figure skater, and we meet Richie, who's like the short order cook, who's dating Jeannie. Somehow.
I mean, good for him, I guess.
But at the same time, he wants to be a stand-up comedian and therefore practices awful jokes while he's cooking.
Yep.
Just shouts and laughs at his own. Before he even gets to the punchline, he's laughing at his own. Like, it's everything you should not be as a stand-up comedian. And I'm not, so I'm not passing judgment, but he's terrible.
I am. He's terrible.
Yeah, he is. He's an awful
man.
comedian.
It's so bad.
Right. And so cut to the next day, Alex is at work and Nick just approaches her at work. Mm-hmm. Hey, you want to get some dinner sometime? She's just like, no, I don't think it's a good idea to date the boss.
Yeah.
Again, good for you.
Yes.
18-year-old girl.
Boundaries.
Yes. Good for you, 18-year-old girl, setting a boundary when you easily could have just been like, this guy owns the company, like meal ticket. Like,
ching, ching.
Yeah, exactly.
In this conversation, it's also made very apparent that he's divorced.
Yes.
I had that in my notes. Like they made it obvious to say that he's divorced.
Yeah, he's not with anyone. And so we get just a lot of little anecdotal scenes just to kind of fill out Alex's character. Mm-hmm. You know, we meet Hannah, who is. The problem I had with some of these anecdotal scenes is there is zero backstory on any of it.
No, you're just there's Hannah, there she is.
So she meets with Hannah, who she has a relationship with. Mm-hmm. We don't know how it started. We don't know why it is.
Nope.
But Alex is a former ballerina. Hannah's a former ballerina. Kind of mentors Alex,
and that's really it.
That's it.
That's all. That's all there is to Hannah.
And just can encourage. All she does is really just keeps encouraging her to audition for the dance conservatory. Mm-hmm. Hannah's character was giving me Mary Kathleen Gallagher like mom vibes. You know, just especially at the end, we're just like it's just I don't know why, but it's like anytime they talk, all it was dance. Like. And it wasn't how was work. It just was so one-dimensional. It was weird.
She was also sniffing her fingertips the whole time, too.
That, too. We meet Johnny C., who has Rocksteady as a henchman, I guess.
He was 2 versions before Johnny 5, by the way.
That's right, yeah. And so we meet Johnny C. As Alex is walking down the street. Johnny C. is standing outside of his strip club Zanzibar. He's got 6 nude women inside, $5. That's all it is. As Alex walks by, hey, honey, when you gonna come work for me? Mm-hmm. At first, it feels like catcalling, and then we realize that no, Johnny and Alex know who each other are. Mm-hmm. This is a come work for me. Yes, I'm a pig, but I'm actually extending you an invite. I'm not.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw him at Mobby's. You get the feeling he goes there to recruit talent.
He must, which is odd because I even made the comment to my wife, like, is Johnny C ever at his own bar?
No.
Like it's nighttime and he's always at Mobby's. Like, who's running your bar? Are you just a daytime strip club? Like, you're there for third shifters. Like,
happy hour. That's it.
Yeah.
We're open from 3:30 to 5:15.
Right. Come for our lunch special. So it's soup and half a sandwich. $3.
You pick 2. That's right. We're not talking about soup and sandwich.
Right. You pick 2. Yeah. He's got this henchman that is pointless.
Oh yeah. Is that Cecil? Is that his name?
I think so.
Cecil?
He was giving me like Bebop and Rocksteady vibes.
Yes, I could totally see that. He was both of them.
Yeah. And so Alex, again, this movie, it's linear, but yet still all over the place because everything is Alex.
Yeah.
Everything is Alex. So Alex rides her bike to the conservatory because that's her mode of transportation.
Yeah.
And as she walks in, it's a busy day at the conservatory.
Yes,
as there's 72 ballerinas in the foyer.
Yes, that's just they're all stretching.
They're all just stretching.
It's like the oh god, was it the Atlanta the post battle scene in Gone with the Wind in Atlanta where there's just bodies strewn everywhere.
Oh yeah,
only this time it's just ballerinas strewn everywhere.
Yeah, they're all stretching. They're all dressed in the same like dingy white leotard stuff. Yeah. They're all stretching and they all have their buns pulled super tight, which of course contrasts with her walking in and her like work boots and her big hair. And I mean, it's just obviously it's supposed to be a visual clash.
Yes. You don't belong here.
You're right. She walks in, she gets freaked out. She's going to apply. She hears the lady behind the desk repeat the same thing a couple times, write down all of your dance experience. And she freaks out and leaves. Okay. And she just doubts herself, which is odd because it's the only time in this movie Alex doubts anything.
Yeah.
Alex is in charge of the world.
For the most part, I think that's one of her charms.
I think so,
and
too.
I can see how that's a reason why people can be drawn to this is because Alex, I mean, you could say, about the plot or lack thereof, but Alex herself is a pretty engaging character.
She is. Yeah, she is. It shows too that like dancing is like the thing she truly cares about, which is the one thing that gives her reservations. Like everything else seems to be like, this is just part of life. And as an 18-year-old, I have so much life experience that I've gained this knowledge. I've gained this insight on how I should approach life.
Well, I mean, she doesn't want to engage because she's worried she'll fail at the thing that she
cares most about. Yeah. So Nick keeps pressuring her, following her around. Like it's creepy. Like
it's very creepy.
It's very inappropriate and very creepy. He keeps checking her out at Mobby's, keeps asking her to the dance. She just keeps resisting. Eventually gives in.
Well, after he follows her home from work.
Yes. Yeah, like not even like following a block or two away. Like, is he going to bump her back tire with this car?
Followed her into Three River Stadium.
Exactly. Like she now, to be fair, she probably should hug the curb a little bit tighter if she's riding her bike.
Stay in that bike lane.
But no, he literally is just following her home.
Yeah.
Not even trying to hide it. Just behind you.
It's like point of view shots from him too. Yeah. Had you changed the music out, it could have been like a stalker moment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Super creepy. So he's like, you want to go out? And she's like, I don't date the boss. And he's like, okay, you're fired. Pick you up at 8. Like, oh, he's so charming. Like he got me.
If only it was that easy.
So her idea for a date, of course, crossed back over to the storyline with Jeannie. Jeannie's gonna skate. Alex goes to Jeannie's house. We get kind of a interesting scene as Jeannie's mom is like super supportive of her. Jeannie's dad is one of those just tough and gruff 80s dads that is like, that it's like, I do love you, but why would you risk failure when you could just avoid it?
You've wasted so much of my money on this dream of yours.
Exactly. And so it's weird because there's a lot of dads that unfortunately are like that. And I do think some of them think I'm trying to protect my kid.
Sure.
If I can talk them out of attempting something they might fail, then they don't have to fail.
Yeah, then I'll save my child from feeling like a failure.
Yeah, and I don't think that's constructive, but
you got to let them fail sometimes.
I think a lot of parents do attempt that. So the first date between Nick and Alex is at Jeannie's skating thing. I audition. I don't know. It seems to be a show
contest.
Yeah,
something.
Alex and Jeannie had gone skating before, and Jeannie was a very good skater. Well, she can't land whatever Lutz she's trying.
Whatever Lutz.
She tries it twice, falls on her butt both times. Second time, it just breaks her. Like,
she just stays down.
She doesn't get up.
There's a very poignant visual moment at the end of that where, one of the workers or judges comes out and kind of kneels next to her for a moment, and the literal spotlight is on her, and this person kind of eventually coaxes her up and pulls her away, but the camera lingers now on the now empty spotlight.
Yeah, the spotlight doesn't stick with her. Like I do. I that stuck out to me as well. Like you're done, Jeannie. Mm-hmm. Like that was your moment. Got kind of a cute little backstage as dad goes back and tries to dad, like, oh, you gave it your best, you sure do bounce well.
Yeah, you sure do bounce.
Just got a chuckle out of her and that
not helping dad.
Right. Thanks, but no thanks. And so we back to, I guess, they went on a date. Like it's just a little bit of everywhere.
This movie's like a tale. It's like the tale of Alex.
Right. You can almost track this movie by the songs. Because you got Flashdance, you got Gloria, which is playing at their dance, because that's what I think was what Jeannie was figure skating to. Was that Gloria?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what was playing.
So Gloria plays. We just mentioned the whole Jeannie thing. She kind of crash and burns, and then she just kind of continues this downward trend. We don't see enough of Jeannie to see her go down, but we see
to really care.
Or to care, yeah. But when we see Jeannie, she seems to be in a worse mental state each time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Alex's apartment.
Yes. Yeah. After this scene, they go back to Alex's place. She's showing Nick around. It kind of reminded me in some ways of that scene in National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, where Emilio Estevez has the trailer, the rundown trailer on the beach, and you walk inside and it's this palatial mansion.
Exactly.
Yeah, where there's columns and
or like Roadhouse when Dalton brings the doctor back to the barn.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whoa, like this is actually like a living quarters. Like he's like, yeah, that's all I can afford. It's like, okay.
10,000 square foot
exactly
renovated post-industrial warehouse.
Yeah, so Alex has somehow landed the investment of the century because as an 18-year-old with a welding job and dances for tips, she has an amazing like warehouse loft apartment.
Yes, she does.
Like you mentioned palatial, it is like there's raves going on downstairs. It's a very, very large warehouse loft that she legit lives in.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a really nice place.
Yes, it is.
You would think, because you get the vibe that this is probably like in the industrial district. But it's like the place doesn't leak. Like it's got an upstairs like heating and radiator system. Like it's a very nice place.
But I mean, even it's not supposed to come across that way though, because Nick comes in and he's like, "You live here?"
Right. Yeah. But we see we see Nick's house later, but yeah. And so they consummate their dating.
Well, kind of interesting scene. She sits down in front of him and she starts and she's wearing like an oversized 80s shirt.
Yeah.
And she like, as she's talking to him and like kind of literally leaning into the conversation, she takes off her bra under the shirt and like pulls it out through the sleeve, and it keeps cutting back to him, and he's like, oh,
I'm not sure what you're saying, but I'm very interested in what you're doing. And she's like, what do you think?
Yeah. The cuts back to him, and he's like,
right. And so, so it's just, we get like a dancing scene of her downstairs in her warehouse, where we get Michael Cimbella's Maniac as she's doing as to be fair, as Maureen Jahan, her dancing double does a lot of dancing in this scene.
Yes.
And we know it's not her because we spend pretty much this entire dance scene. If it's full body, then she's silhouetted in shadow.
Yeah.
And otherwise it's close-ups of feet or close-ups of knees or close-ups of navel.
Yeah.
It's not her.
Or Jennifer Beals from like neck up, just kind of like
exactly.
doing this.
Yeah, do this, Jennifer. Okay, I could do that. And don't worry, we'll make sure your hair is fully wet so people know you're sweaty.
Her hair holds a lot of moisture.
Right. We get a scene where Richie, we get a scene back at Mobby's where Richie gets a chance of a stand-up comedy. Like, he's kind of the MC for the night.
Yeah.
And he basically is just dropping bombs. Like, nobody's laughing at him. I think at one point Johnny C's like, get off the stage, and
yeah.
In which then somehow Richie pulls a Pee Wee Herman of like when he's at the bar and he dances and wins everybody over. Richie's like, guys, cut me some slack. I'm just a burger cook. Cut me some slack, or I'll put some cockroaches in your food. And everyone's like, right. And everybody reacts to him the way that like Zach Orth reacts.
I knew you were going to go
Wet
there.
Hot.
If you weren't, I was going to go there. I was waiting for it.
It's just the funniest thing they've ever heard in their lives.
Just literal knee slapping.
And again, it's no funnier a joke than the last one.
No.
It's desperation at best. Guys, knock it off, or I'm going to put cockroaches in your food. And everyone's like, now that's the key to Pittsburgh humor.
Did you hear the cook? He's going to put roaches in our burgers.
I hope he talks about Polish people some more now.
And bring on the ethnic jokes.
And it's like that. He started with just bombs, drops this one thing, and then suddenly he can spit out nothing but fun. Like, everyone just laughs and laughs.
I'm so old, I was from the Ice Age.
Exactly. It was bad. It was just bad. So cut to, he introduces whoever's dancing next. It doesn't matter.
No.
This is where
Is it Alex in Kabuki mask?
No, not yet. This is Tina Tech. He
Okay.
introduces her. She's doing some baseball themed.
That's right.
Like, she just kind of, I just feel like she's like just throwing herself at the wall. I don't know. It was weird. It was just weird. It was weird, but it was performance art, so whatever.
It was an ode to the baseball furies.
Everybody snaps their fingers when she's done. And
there's just one shirtless guy in the corner with the bongo.
Exactly.
It just turns into a beatnik thing.
Exactly. Oh my. Yeah. It was weird. So.
If only this movie was as good as we're making it out to be.
I guess.
Our version of Flashdance would be killer.
Of me just trying to remember the order of things from a movie I watched 2 nights ago.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. Alex, she's out. She comes home. It's like super late. Like super late. She comes home and like the radiator has leaked. And even she I made the comment before she did. I'm like, is that the dog just pee all over the floor? Yeah. She makes the comment. And then it's like late. She'd been out with Richie. No, she'd been out with Nick. I want to say this was the scene. And drop in the comments if I'm wrong, because I'm sure I am. We'll get comments. Like, it's like super late. She'd been out with Nick. She comes home. And it's like late. And then Richie just lets himself in just to come up to tell her, I'm headed out to LA. If I'm going to be a comedian, I got to go where the comedy is. And she should have said, you had 2 decent jokes. Mm-hmm. Like, you aren't a comedian. You tried one time. Crickets for half your set.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm just going to jump on the turnpike and head out west.
Cockroaches for the other half of the set.
Right. And she's like, well, what about Jeannie? And he's like, well, I'm going to be a star, right? I don't even think he made it to the Pittsburgh state line. No. Or the Pennsylvania state line before he turned around. Because he's like in the next scene.
He made it to Akron, Ohio.
Right.
Turn around.
Exactly. So we see Hannah and Alex go to a performance at the conservatory. Mm-hmm. When they're leaving, Alex puts Hannah in a cab and then grabs her bike to ride home.
Yeah.
How did they get there? Did Hannah meet her there? Did they come together? I don't know.
Don't overthink it.
She puts her in a cab and then turns around and sees Nick get in a car with a blonde woman.
Ooh.
So then Alex, who is, at this point is given no indication that she knows where Nick lives, rides her bike to Nick's house, throws a rock through his window, and then takes off into the night. The next day at work, Nick comes up. Keep in mind, the next day at work. This is important. The next day at work, Nick comes up and he talks to Alex. Alex obviously blows him off, gives him the cold shoulder. He's like, what's going on? And she's like, who's the blonde woman, Nick? I didn't realize you liked the ballet so much. Nick, again, hours after this event happened, kind of looks around like, blonde woman? What blonde woman are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's not trying to hide it. He genuinely
he's dumbfounded.
He's genuinely confused.
You know what happened? The rock she threw at the window hit him in the head.
It must have hit him. Because this was the next day.
Blonde steel mill.
Yeah. Because
Alex.
Because it's lunchtime because Alex goes to order like a sandwich and a Coke or whatever.
Yeah.
And Nick's like, oh, it's on me. She's like, the heck it is.
Yeah,
who's the blonde woman, Nick? And he's like, I don't know.
He has a big ice pack.
Yeah, exactly. He's like Beldar Conehead. I'm feeling a little woozy. I got hit. And so he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I saw you. I threw the rock at your house. And he goes, you cost me $127.
Yeah, with a custom window.
Yeah, it was custom. I had to order custom. And in my mind, I'm like, this is the next day.
How did you do that? And there's a 24-hour window guy.
No kidding. Like, I need you over here tonight, Dennis. Like, it was the very next day.
Yeah.
He's like, I
measured and special ordered.
I've $127. And my wife and I are like, that's actually not too bad for a window, but
bring custom your circular ordered. Saw. You just patch it up.
But not mad at her.
No.
He's not mad at her. And he was like, oh, that was my ex-wife. We're both on the conservatory board.
Doing.
The blonde woman you're referencing was a woman I was married to for a long, long time.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about that.
I just completely forgot her hair color overnight.
Or that she's a woman.
Right. Or that I was at the ballet. So,
boy, does my head hurt. Right here.
I guess so.
Not here or here.
Right. So they make up and they go out to a fancy dinner. Because Alex is like, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. Like we were both wrong.
Yeah,
we were both
night.
Wrong.
Yeah, they're out to fancy
night
fancy seafood dinner.
To which Nick's wife comes up, and Alex has got on a tuxedo because it's the 80s.
Yeah,
and the wife is like, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you, Alex." To which then she takes off the jacket. It turns out she's just wearing she's just wearing. What do you even call the front of that?
Is it the cummerbund?
I thought the cummerbund's like the belt.
Is it like a dickie?
Basically, she's wearing like a tuxedo dickie with nothing on underneath.
No.
And, and she just, again, 18-year-old Alex puts this woman in her tracks like, guess what we did?
Yes, I've been something to Nikki's brains.
I've been making love to his brains.
I've been fornicating with his brains.
And he's like, oh, you threw a rock and hit me in the brain too. So, and meanwhile, Nick is just sitting there like, that's true. Yeah. We're divorced and she's 18. So who's the real
Who's
creep?
In the wrong now?
Right. Who's the real loser?
By the way, my head hurts.
Right? Get woozy.
He's puking into the bucket next to the
table. She goes to she wants to audition. She's telling him about all this audition stuff. He puts a call in for her, right? Well, this had happened before. He's taking her home from the restaurant. And she's just like, I applied. They accepted my application. This is the best. And he goes, yeah, I made these reservations last night. Which she quickly deduces, you did what? Like, you abused your power to get me an audition? I have boundaries.
His influence at the conservatory.
The Pittsburgh Conservatory.
The Pittsburgh Conservatory. If there's one thing that Western Pennsylvania is known for, it's ballet.
Exactly. And Billy Joel. And so
Dave wants that.
And so she's mad, understandably so. She's got boundaries. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
You overstepped it, Nick. And he's just like, whoa, I just got you the audition. I just helped you out there. Literally, it's the application. This doesn't guarantee you're in. It just says they'll watch you dance. And she's like, that's enough. If they can't take me based on my penmanship, they don't deserve me. It wasn't an interview. It was literally just an application. So she blows up on him again, obviously. Storms out. Again, they happen to be in a tunnel. So she, 4 or 5 cars back, they're all hitting their brakes as if it were choreographed that there was going to be a car stopping in the middle of nowhere. So Alex does her. This is the kabuki dance, I believe.
Okay.
Because she starts this in I think it was Maxell tapes where the guy would sit in front and it would blow your hair back. Yeah.
I thought of the exact same thing when I saw that.
Starts there, turns into this I hope you don't have epilepsy tonight at Mobby's because we've got a lot of strobes going on. It was very interesting to say the least. And so, come to find, where are we here? We get
Jeannie and Johnny C.
Yeah, we get Jeannie and Johnny C. Jeannie doesn't work at Mobby's anymore because she left Mobby's. She's stripping at Johnny C's because they're dating now. And that's how you know you've made it with Johnny C. He gives you a job and a relationship. So she's stripping. Honestly, this is a movie that, because of the amount of interpretive dancing, could have had a lot more nudity than it did.
Well, this scene right here kind of made up for a lot of it.
Yeah.
In my notes, I have cut to boobs at Zanzibar's.
Yeah, a lot of plastic butts and a lot of plastic boobs.
Yes.
And so we're at Zanzibar. It's the only night of the week that Johnny C's actually at work. And
Tuesday night.
And Alex comes bowling in, right? Alex just helps himself in and shoves her way through. Goes right up to Jeannie on stage. What are you doing? You get down here, girl. And Johnny C's like, Alex, that's enough. She just shoves him and takes Jeannie, and that's fine. Nobody's mad.
Grabs topless Jeannie and just pulls her off the stage.
Gives her coat, right? And says, well, let's go sit on the curb and talk. And Jeannie's she's really down in the dumps because I tried to figure skate and I fell down. So I might as well flash my boobs.
Well, and Richie's gone.
Richie's gone because he's still making his way through, Western Pennsylvania.
Trying to navigate the toll pike.
So everybody's back happy, I suppose. Man, we're at almost an hour already. Where everybody's back happy, I suppose. It's costume night at Mobby's. And Mr. Mobby, whoever the owner is, it doesn't matter. He's up on stage doing MC duties now. And Richie comes back in an alligator costume. And surprises everybody. And it turns out, it's this is my home. This is because I realized I'm not funny.
I was meant to flip burgers.
Yeah, this is my destiny. So Alex, that wraps up the Jeannie Richie stuff. Really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So Alex decides it's now or never. I'm gonna go ahead and I have this audition. I might as well do it. So she quits welding because it's just getting in her way, despite offering her a lifestyle that allows her a beautiful apartment.
Yes.
And, I'd say welding's done okay for you.
Yeah. She's doing well financially.
And so she goes and she auditions and she falls down. Can I do this again? And of course, we've got the most drip dry line of judges. These are all hoity-toity, never danced a day in their life, but they know more. They've forgotten more than you'll ever know. They are that quintessential, you got your tweed coat with your leather patches on the elbows and your glass.
Everybody's in gray.
Yeah. There's just this haze of smoke. Everybody, but they're so disinterested because this woman doesn't even have her hair pulled back tight. So she comes in, she puts on What a Feeling, falls down, says, can I start again? And then in apparently what is the longest corridor in a building in Pittsburgh, because she runs the 200-meter dash in this room.
She actually started in starting blocks.
Right. Like, she does this floor routine that is so mind-blowingly different that they can't help but accept her. Meanwhile, so she does this. We're wrapping up the movie here. Mm-hmm. She leaves the audition building. In the meantime, Nick has kidnapped her dog and has tied a bow around its neck and
has a gun to Grunt's head.
Right, you better have made it. I put a call in for you. And so he's hiding flowers behind his back. Grunt's got a bow around his neck. They're hoping, just praying that she had a good audition. Mm-hmm. She's very excited. They do a quick twirl, freeze frame, movie's over. Right. And that is Flashdance.
Flashdance.
I know I have forgotten a lot, but at the same time, it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, this movie really is more about a feeling than it is about a plot. So, hey folks, it's that point in the show where Oz and I give our own unique rating that we do every week to the movies we watch. This week's 1983's Flashdance. Hey Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm giving it a triple Lutz.
That's a good
score. Just a triple Lutz.
Triple Lutz.
What are you giving it?
I'm gonna go with 67 welding torches.
Okay.
Why not?
That works.
I like the triple Lutz. I like your score better than mine. Next up, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well in our next comedy segment, Outside Insights. Hey Oz, what is your outside insight?
I have two. One's a little longer than the other, but they're both 1-star reviews. Okay. This first one is from Leslie Bennett. Why is this movie popular? Left in July of last year. I haven't seen this movie since the 80s and decided to watch it again. It doesn't really have much to it, and unless you're a teenage boy, it's not really going to appeal to you.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So thanks, Leslie. This next one is from Rachel28, left July of 2017.
Okay.
So bad. I was a kid in the 80s and never got to watch this movie until now. It is so bad. Plot is non-existent. All it is sexual innuendo, sex, bad dancing. Seriously. The best dancing the whole movie was in the intro scene. The rest is just jerky flailing around and falling on the ground. I guess they were trying to be cool. Didn't work. No rhythm, no tempo. Didn't even look nice. Just sex, bad dancing, sex, bad dancing, ad nauseum. About 3/4 of the way through, I saw a glimmer of a piece of some kind of storyline. She wanted to get into dance school. But she's so immature and annoying, I can't take it. No character depth at all. The protagonist is annoying and unlikable. I stopped watching with about 15 minutes left of the movie because I just couldn't watch it anymore. Wow, just so bad. I should have watched The Avengers.
Should have watched The Avengers.
Yeah, if The Avengers is your speed, this movie's probably not.
Jerky dancing.
God, just dancing and sex. Oh,
sex and dancing.
There wasn't enough like space aliens.
Where were the Shatari?
Exactly.
And Flashdance.
It's like Avengers was almost ruined by Black Widow.
How come Alex didn't find the Tesseract?
Right. Movie would have been way better with the Tesseract. So those are my two outside insights. Neither one were fans.
Okay. I think we have some commentary going on.
I hear it. Yeah.
Yes. My outside insights, I also have two. I went to the opposite end of the spectrum. I went 10 out of 10, both from the Internet Movie Database. First one is from Sprash Hardick, left in December of 2021, so just a couple years at the time of this recording. This movie was ahead of its time. Can't take eyes off Jennifer Beals. She has a mesmerizing face and smile.
Mesmerizing.
I
was put under a spell.
My other one, also 10 out of 10, is from Bill and Fam, left in August of 2006. Oh, what a chick flick. I love Flashdance for all its faults and cheesy lines and melodrama and nudie bar scenes and dancing and sexploitation.
There's one nudie bar scene.
Yeah. I will always remember fondly the curious feelings it gave me when I watched it as an 8-year-old kid. Seeing all the dancing and decisions in the young women's lives of Alex and her friend, the nude bar scenes were my first exposure to sex. I had never seen naked women in a movie before. It was awesome and confusing at the same time. And my mom never censored it. 10 out of 10. I give it 2 boobs up.
Oh my.
Yep. This real coming of age tale.
Yeah, the real transformative effect of Flashdance.
Seeing Alex pull topless Genie off that stage in Zanzibar, I am now a man.
It was an awakening like no other.
So, yes, those are my outside insights. Hey, folks, it's that point of the show you've all been waiting for, the Let's Talk About Flicks signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and only one
Just one.
But this week's movie, Flashdance. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is just everybody putting up with Alex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and I that's the right verb that I want to use there, putting up with. Because as strong as a central female character she is, I'm not taking anything away from her. Mm-hmm. She was so mercurial.
Sure.
In a lot of her decisions, and was really outside of the one scene that I didn't mention where she and Richie are going out to the car. This is after she had poured the beer in Johnny C's lap, and Johnny C and henchmen were waiting outside, and they punch Richie in the face, and Johnny kind of grabs Alex's arm, and it's like, you're going to pay for it. Like, you embarrassed me, you're going to pay for this. And she's not even really scared. She just keeps telling him to quit and knock it off. And then that's when Nick's like, Johnny, that's enough. He's like, oh, you know what? I got a little out of hand. I'm sorry. Like, aside from that, everybody just kind of puts up with her. She's kind enough. Like, she's not really that great to Nick. She shouldn't be anyway. Like, Nick's double her age and he's her boss. But it's like, you know, as the way she treated Nick, she was never really at risk of losing her job. You know, she threw a rock through his window and admitted it, and he's just like, you know what? Let's go out to dinner. Like,
you know what?
Like marches in to Zanzibar and like literally like steals Johnny C's girlfriend Jeannie. And Johnny's just like, all right, have a nice day.
I'll
like,
see you later.
And
Alex,
it's just like, I guess that's a good as like. Our main character was pretty impervious. Even when Hannah died, like, she's like, well, where's Hannah? She's like, she did. Yeah. And Alex is just like, man, you know, it's a real bummer. Who am I going to talk dance with now?
Who's going to motivate me?
But like, Hannah dying was the Chubbs moment of this movie.
Chubbs.
That really got happy Alex to finish her journey. So that's my first good. My second one was her apartment. I mean, that's a pretty nice apartment.
Yeah,
for a person who just graduated high school and is holding down 2 jobs. Pretty accomplished.
Yes.
My third is Giorgio Moroder. Like, even though there wasn't the synthesizer score to this film, he still had his hands on the movie, on the music. And so the music fit the movie. A lot of solid hits come out of this film. And I think that helped. I mean, this is one of the like best selling sound. Like, this was one I was reading in the trivia that like the soundtrack to this film is kind of what helped them at the box office.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And so I think that's a testament. I mean, it won an Oscar.
Yeah.
It's an Oscar-winning movie. Thanks, Giorgio Moroder. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
Oscar-winning movie, just like Berry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Exactly. For the same reason.
Yep.
Like, well, I don't know. Berry Gordy's Last Dragon is a pretty awesome movie. Minus Vanity. Get Vanity out of there.
Yeah.
You're all right. Yeah.
All right. Well, my three, I'm going to start with, it was beautifully shot.
Oh yeah, beautiful
I thought the cinematography was great. Whether it's the edits back to her feet, she's dancing a Maniac, or the Pittsburgh skyline, or I thought it looked good.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to put the camera in places that gave you a unique perspective.
And it was nominated for an Academy Award for cinematography. So,
fair enough. Yeah.
So that's my first good. My second one is well, I will say Jennifer. I thought Jennifer Beals did a good job.
She did.
I thought Jennifer Beals, she did what was asked of her, including not dancing most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought that her performance. I agree with the great word you used a moment ago, mercurial, for Alex. Like, I thought she gave Alex enough relatability despite the mercurialness to make her character relatable and approachable from an audience. And then my last good is a shout out to me for picking Robert Wool out of the crowd.
I saw him too.
Yes,
I forgot about it, but yeah.
Yes, I saw him. I didn't look that far down in the credits, but it's one of the scenes at Mobby's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, is that Robert Wool? So I pull up IMDb, and yes, Robert Wool is, he's like 20th in the listing as Mobby's regular.
Yeah.
So pat on the back to myself for picking Robert Wool out of the crowd.
Honestly, I think Robert Wool is probably just there that night.
He actually meant to go to Zanzibar, as he just got mixed up.
Look at that. Like, Jennifer Beals really, like, it's like Flashdance, that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at her filmography right now. This was her second movie. Her first one was called My Bodyguard. She played Clifford's friend. So yeah, that's not a lead. She was in this. But then other things that maybe you've heard of.
He's my bodyguard.
He's my bodyguard. Maybe, like, I'm just 4 Rooms. I'm assuming that's
right. She was in 4 Rooms.
She was in 4 Rooms.
Book of Eli.
Yeah. But really, like, that film wise, not much.
Yeah.
The Grudge 2, like,
she was in more recently. She was in a couple episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she was a Twi'lek. I think.
Okay.
With like the long.
Yeah. But yeah, she's had a much stronger TV career, I suppose. The L Word.
Mm-hmm.
Taken, the TV show, but yeah, that's fine. Like, it's just interesting to see somebody, especially like 80s, that's like, was this, I won't say superstar, but like, she and this movie are synonymous with one another. And then that's it. Like, really just kind of vanished. For the most part, she's been active.
Well, I'd say vanished from, like, as a headliner, but
right? Yeah, like I said, she
was still a steady.
Yeah, she's been active for sure. I'm not denying that, but it just, when you see, like, wow, this is her second movie, like, she was the it girl, and then it's like, and then she wasn't
until she wasn't. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, Oz, what are your 2 bads?
My first one, and I've said it multiple times, Alex is 18. There are so many reasons why that's not right for this movie. Not only on the predatory side of things, which is when it's own, but on the believability of her accomplishments at the same time. You've given us no backstory on this girl other than, I'm from Altoona, Pennsylvania. That's it. There's no conversation about family. There's no conversation about parents. We know nothing about her. But her being 18 leads us to believe you were just out of high school.
Yeah.
And yet you have relocated to Pittsburgh, secured a residence, own a dog.
Got her welding certificate.
Has a full-time welding job.
Typically takes at least 9 months to do.
But it's like, you got a full-time welding job and a second job where you are easily the youngest person on staff at Mobby's, yet they all look to you for guidance.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so many things that just her being 18 it just doesn't make sense.
Like 18 going on 64.
Well, like I mentioned pre-show, make her 22
Sure. And
fine.
it would be a lot more plausible.
And it's just, okay, maybe you worked here right out of high school at Mobby's. Like, things just, they fall in line a little better. Mm-hmm. But she, in some regards, now I mentioned Mercurial earlier, in some regards, she's the most mature person in this movie.
Yeah. Despite
being the youngest person in this movie. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I have down in my note, this is one of my possible bads. When we first meet Hannah is the one who expositions to us, Alex, you're 18 years old.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jennifer Beals was actually 18 when they made this movie. Yeah. So it's just, and the movie is kind of semi-biographical about another, like, it's based on the story of an actual woman that was a dancer and a welder, and it's like, that's fine. But it just, she probably wasn't 18. I don't know why. I don't know why that sticks with me so much, because they really, honestly, I didn't get the vibe. They weren't really sexualizing her. Not the way they were some of the others. I never really got that, of that she was a victim of the sexualization of the industry. Because again, we mentioned she wasn't catcalled at work. Everybody treated her with respect at work, aside from her boss, who's just a creep. But even at Mobby's, like, it wasn't like overly sexualized dancing. It was just performance art. And with that, like, no one was really, other than Johnny C., who they led to believe is the creep of the movie. Like, grabbing her butt.
Which makes Nikki the good guy.
Yeah. Even though Nick's even like, yeah, I used to run around with Johnny C. We used to steal hubcaps. Was that a lucrative career at some point? Hubcap theft.
Where do you think they got the steel from at the steel building?
It's true. I built this whole empire off of hubcaps, Johnny C. And I
stolen hubcaps.
So
at one point, even like Nikki, I think it's in her bedroom, like she's smoking, and he's like, "You're too young to smoke, kid."
Yeah,
but not too young to have sex with.
Well, and the weird part is we hadn't seen her light a cigarette at all during the movie. It's like we've been given no indication she was a smoker until 45 minutes into the movie. She grabs a cigarette, and then he, like you said, he takes it from her. He's like, "You're not old enough to do that, or you're too young to smoke."
Hannah's like, "Smoking is what makes a ballet dancer great."
Right, exactly.
Expands the lungs.
It's like, I really had a problem with her being 18.
Yeah. Oh God, me too.
It's just like, story-wise, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
My second, and I mentioned this earlier too, is there is no way they could have had the foresight to the advances of TV and film technology as they went on with resolutions and whatever. But making no attempt to really hide that somebody else was doing all the dancing. Back in 83, it worked out for you, but as time's gone on, put that woman's name in the credits, please, because she deserves it.
Yeah.
Alex's dance double in high def is my second bad. So what do you got?
For my two, I got several to pick from here. So, oh man, I'm going to go with just the Hannah character.
Yeah.
She's really there to say, go get him, and then provide motivation after she dies.
Pretty much.
The Hannah character is only there to provide motivation to Alex. That's it. Go, you're 18, grab the world by,
right.
And now she's dead, and now I got to do it because Hannah's dead, and I got to honor dead Hannah.
Right.
At one point, Alex even I got a quote down. Alex even tells Hannah, "What would I do without you?"
I promise I will never die.
Never die.
What would I do without you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many other things to put here. I'm going back and forth. I'm the one I'm not going to use is non-Jennifer Beals actors. Everybody else is
pretty
mediocre to bad in this.
Yeah.
But my other official bad will be just Richie. And, I mean, I'm going to go with low hanging fruit here. He's ethnic jokes, misogyny.
He's a terrible character.
Yeah.
And they try to play him up as the sympathetic guy.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, he doesn't treat the women poorly. Okay, cool. He's still a misogynist, and he's still a racist.
Yeah, big time. And he still thinks those are funny things. Want to hear another Polish joke?
No,
I don't.
No, go make me a burger.
Right. Yeah. I agree. He was terrible. He was a pretty bad character.
Yeah. So, yeah. Those are my two bads. Oz, what is your one and only
We've joked about it a couple times, but why and how does Alex's hair hold so much moisture?
Yeah.
It is weird. It's like it multiplies how much liquid is in her hair at any given time. So that's my How does her hair hold so much moisture?
Lot of volume. A lot of volume.
Very, very
she
much
uses
so.
Pantene.
Yeah. Something like that. What's your
Oh God, I had two. One of them we kind of mentioned before, so this will be my unofficial one.
Okay.
Is, do all prestigious dance academies have their dancers just stretch outside the admissions office?
It's an intimidation factor. For sure.
Just stretch here. Just right outside of admissions.
You should see where the good ones stretch.
So there's that. But my official though is going to be, did Nick disclose their relationship to HR?
Probably not, but you figure HR is the one that told him she works for you. Here's her SOCH number.
Yeah, at Mobby's. Yeah, coming full circle in this episode.
Yeah, because Nick goes, "Who is she?" And he's like 553-682947. And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "That's her Social Security number. She lives at 1847."
Blood type.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say she's type AB.
She's deficient to chromosomes.
He's parents are Bradley and Stephanie Owens. They're deceased. Yeah, but no, I doubt.
Something tells me no.
Probably not.
Yeah. Especially when the HR guy's out to him at the dance club.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's HR, because it'd be even worse if he wasn't.
Yeah.
He's just a co-worker.
Yeah.
I stole her identity. I'm dancing next.
As Alex.
I've
now assumed her identity.
You're not Alex Owens. That's me.
That's me. I'm Alex Owens. Well, hey, folks, that's 1983's Flashdance. What a fun episode, Oz.
It really, like, for all of its warts, it was a fun enough movie.
It was good. And it was short.
Yeah.
It didn't overstay its welcome.
Right. And I'm glad that especially during Wives' Choice Month, where my wife can make a pick for a movie that we had not seen, but she also knew it was imperfect enough that I didn't feel bad. Because I do feel somewhat obligated when my wife recommends a movie for us to watch. I really want to like it. Because I like to think I'm a good husband. And I'm like, this is something that you care about. I want to also like it. And I did. But she even knew that there was enough faults with the film. Yeah. And she even said I haven't seen it in a long time. So I think her watching it through a different lens this time around too was like, it's fun enough for an 80s movie. It's got the 80s stink on it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so the
stink that's under all those leg warmers.
Exactly. So some of it comes along with that. The same way 16 Candles has a stink to it.
Yeah.
But it's still enjoyable enough. So I'm glad she recommended it. I hadn't seen it. I have now. I wasn't like detested by it, or I wasn't like ripping on it, like outside of what we do on the show. But it was okay. What do you got next week? What's your wife bringing to the table?
Next week, yes, my wife's first
my
film.
Wife.
My wife's her first. By the way, my daughter, I guess she's 9 right now.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is just a constant background noise in our house. And there's a scene in a Bob's Burgers episode where he imagines himself working in a corporate environment.
Okay.
And a coworker says, my wife to him in this imagined like corporate.
Okay, yeah.
Like he's exchanging water cooler talk.
Got it.
And so my daughter thinks that quote is attributed to Bob's Burgers.
Oh. Let's let her keep that.
Yes. Yeah, we'll hang on to that.
Yeah.
For the near future.
When you turn 12, I'll show you where it really comes from.
Yeah. We're going straight to Bruno, actually.
Good for you. Good for you.
Uh-huh. So, next week, the first of my wife's choice selections for Wives' Choice Month 2025 is Bubble Boy. Yes, folks, you heard it right.
Featuring everyone's lovable Brokeback Mountain character.
In character.
In character.
Yes. So yes, we're gonna watch 2001's Bubble Boy. Very fun movie, I will say.
I've not seen this one either.
It is stupid, but it is fun.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Her other choice for the month is also stupid, but very fun.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of our brand.
I know it is.
Yes, Patreon subscriber Melissa L and I. Stupid is pretty much our brand.
Yeah.
Bubble Boy clocks in at an hour 24 minutes.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very quick watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But yeah,
get in, get out.
It's and it doesn't need to be any longer than that. So
that's fair.
Yes, Bubble Boy. You're in for. I'm curious to your take on it.
Oh, I'm sure I'll enjoy it because
it screams 2001.
Oh, okay. Like the movie 2001.
Yes, it's a shot-for-shot remake of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal is Hal. So.
As the monkey.
I'm sorry, Dave. Can't open the bubble, Dave.
Swoozie Kurtz as the monolith.
Swoozie Kurtz.
She's the mom from Bubble Boy.
I do like Swoozie.
Yeah, she's good in this too. She's really good at this.
We need more people named Swoozie.
Yes, we do.
Swoozie.
Not enough Swoozies in the world.
Nope, not enough. So next week, Bubble Boy. Social media wise, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. YouTube Shorts if you want to microdose us. Again, like we mentioned at the beginning, Patreon link down below if you'd like to add to that and have your name shouted out just to show some support for the show. But we will be back next week with Bubble Boy. So for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
We'll see you guys next week.